When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
Dr. Raj.
Dr. Raj Dasgupta.
The most interesting pulmonologist in the world.
Welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast, a show all about empowering knowledge, addressing difficult topics, raising awareness, and being positive. Dr. Raj is a quadruple board-certified physician, associate professor of clinical medicine, and the associate program director of internal medicine residency. He was a co-host on the TNT series Chasing the Cure with Ann Curry, as well as a regular on the TV show The Doctors. And now, here's our show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast. And what is this a podcast of? A podcast of happiness and wellness, of great people, amazing stories. And today, I am super happy as a person, as a clinician, to talk about Lewy Body Dementia. I gotta tell you, it goes under the radar. It sometimes gets lost when we say words like Alzheimer's dementia, Parkinson's dementia. There is Lewy body. And I'm so excited to have a really awesome, cool advocate for Lewy body dementia today. And she's going to teach me some medical stuff too, which is going to be great. And you know the rules, everyone. I'm going to have to read the bio before I introduce. So today's guest is going to be Mary Lou Falcone. Mary Lou is a sought-after speaker and advocate on Lewy body dementia and caregiving since writing her first book, I Didn't See It Coming, Scenes of Love, Loss, and Lewy Body Dementia. Mary Lou was inspired to write her memoir after her late husband, illustrator Nicky Zann, died from Lewy body dementia in 2020. Mary Lou's journey with Nicky was not her first time as a caregiver. When Mary Lou was 10 years old, her father at age 37 suffered a massive stroke that robbed him of his ability to speak as well as his employment. The oldest of three kids, Mary Lou helped her mom care for her dad and family. A former opera singer and educator, Mary Lou is internationally known as the classical music publicist / strategist who for 50 years has helped guide the careers of celebrated artists and advised many institutions, including Carnegie Hall, the Los Angeles, New York, and Vienna Philharmonic. She now adds another layer: advocate for Lewy body dementia awareness. Mary Lou serves on the board of the Lewy Body Dementia Resource Center of New York City. She is also an executive producer, along with soprano Renee Fleming, musician Yo-Yo Ma, and actor David Hyde Pierce, of a new documentary film about Lewy body dementia entitled Facing the Wind, which I saw the preview, everyone, and I was tearing up. I couldn't even go to round it with my residents. It was so good. The documentary had its world premiere at the Doc NYC Film Festival in November 2024, along with a preview presentation at New York's Lincoln Center that same month. For more information, I'll just say it now and I'll put it in the show notes, blah, blah, blah. Go to MaryLouFalcone.com. And with that being said, Mary Lou, how are you doing today?
I am delighted to be with you, Dr. Raj, and I love your energy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, I think there's so many disease states out there where as clinicians, we just keep on making people cry. I think it's good to always make sure the glass is half full and have a positive attitude, especially with this disease we're talking about, you know?
Love it, and we need it.
Cool. Well, hey, I always love to be taught something. So I'm going to ask you this first question to kind of set the tone because, you know, Lewy body dementia, as I mentioned, is not well known like Alzheimer's disease. So can you tell me, as someone who has firsthand knowledge, what distinguishes Lewy body dementia from other types of dementia that are going to be out there?
There are three factors that do. First of all, Lewy body dementia has fluctuations, meaning that one day you're 100% yourself, and the next day you don't know who the person sitting next to you is. That's number one.
Okay.
Secondly, there are hallucinations early on. In Alzheimer's, for instance, which, as you know, is the most well-known of the dementia, Lewy body dementia is second in line as in the area of progressive dementias. And it affects over 1.4 million people, which is a lot of people. So that's number two. And the third factor in all of this is REM sleep disorder. And for those people who don't know what that is, it's when you're dreaming, and most of us dream and we're very still. If you have REM sleep disorder, you're dreaming, you're punching somebody, and you're actually punching somebody, you're punching out. So those are the three distinctive qualities that make Lewy body dementia certainly very different from all the others, especially Alzheimer's.
So let's talk about REM movement disorder, because I'm a sleep doctor. That's my jam. And it's unfortunate when you are in REM sleep. What are we supposed to do? Be paralyzed. It's a protective mechanism. But you're right. People have that movement disorder are reenacting those dreams. My question is, have you ever got a right hook on your jaw or maybe a kick in the lower back one time?
Not severely,
Okay.
but I've certainly witnessed the acting out of dreams and the reality. I mean, the person who's dreaming when they awake, they can't distinguish between dream and reality.
No. So was that an earlier sign for your husband, or was that a later sign for your husband?
That was there for a very, very long time.
Okay.
But by itself, it meant nothing. As the years went by, it happened. He was moving a lot in his sleep, but that meant nothing to me.
Yeah.
Until I guess it was 3 years before he was diagnosed, I began to see things that I hadn't seen before.
So question, I'm going all over the place because I'm curious now. So did you see a sleep specialist, and did they prescribe medications to help out with the movement disorder?
No.
Okay.
What happened was, just the nutshell version is, in 2016, I began to see things like paranoia, a little hostility and anger, slowing down a little bit, being very fatigued, and taking 20 minutes to write one check.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. All right. So we are all very good at rationalizing everything. So I rationalized the whole thing. No problem. Went on that later that year to Vienna. We're now in December of 2016. Nicky gets lost going to a restaurant that he knew very well, where he was supposed to meet me. I panicked. 45 minutes, he didn't show. I went out to the main drag in Vienna towards St. Stephen's Cathedral trying to find him. Now, where I thought I was going to find the needle in the haystack, don't ask. But I actually thought I had divine providence on my side. So I went with that because it was the only thing I could hang on to. As I was 1 minute into my journey to find him, who comes toward me, Nicky, and says, you didn't write down the address. And what I saw in his eyes was fear. And that fear made me calm and say, it's my bad. Forgive me, please. That was the beginning of a journey that made me very uncomfortable. He had triple bypass surgery 2 months later, and I thought that was the culprit. I thought not enough oxygen getting from the heart to the brain. I'm not a doctor, but my logic told me that. When he came out of the surgery with severe hallucinations that didn't stop and still losing weight and not getting any stronger, and this went on for over a year, I said to our new doctor, time for please, an MRI. Yeah. He said, let's watch a little bit longer. We watched for another month. During that month, we traveled to Stockholm, Sweden. Now we're into 2018, the fall of 2018. We go to Stockholm, Sweden. Nicky can't figure out how to get through the metal detector. He can't figure out how to get from the front desk of the hotel to the hotel room.
Wow.
I had a huge event that I was running in Stockholm, Sweden, which involved the king and queen of Sweden, etc.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And he was an invited guest. They wanted him there as a guest, which was lovely.
Yeah.
He would sleep all day long in order to have enough energy and strength to do what we call in medical terms show timing at night, meaning that the theater was on. And he held his own for the evening. Nobody knew anything was wrong, and would sleep all the next day in order to function at night to be there for me.
Yeah.
An amazing journey. When we got back stateside, I said to our doctor, now we need the MRI. Happened, it showed a phrase that I particularly hate, which is age-appropriate deterioration, which to me is nonsense. I usually use a stronger word, but nonsense for we don't have a clue.
Yeah, that means we don't know. Exactly.
Right. So I said to our brilliant doctor, and he really was brilliant, what next? And he said, now in comes now the REM sleep test.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So he sends us to a neurologist out of network, which is unusual, as you well know.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we go to a brilliant neurologist who watches Nicky walk. And from the cognitive testing, he says, this is Lewy Body Dementia with Parkinsonian aspects, like that.
Wow.
Which, for people who don't know Lewy body, it is almost impossible to get a diagnosis on the first try.
Yeah.
But we did. He then ordered the REM sleep test, which the technician said, we do this all the time. It's not going to be anything. In the morning, the technician was silent.
Wow.
Because it showed REM sleep disorder, big time.
Wow.
And the second test they did was a DAT scan, which for your listeners is like an MRI, except they inject a dye, and the dye will show you where the brain has been damaged. So that's the simple explanation.
Oh, the great explanation. And wait, but it's around 216, 218. How old was your husband?
So these tests were done in the early 2019. He was 75, 76.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. And so we got the diagnosis. Now we're in 2019, March of 2019.
Yeah.
We go for the next 6-7 months. The day came when that I feared, which was he was out. And, people with Lewy body can function for a very long time on their own.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Okay.
He was out, went to the post office. When he came back, he was bleeding. He had a black eye. His hands were bleeding. He had fallen. He had fallen on his face.
Yeah.
And I knew that was the moment when we had to do everything together.
Yeah.
So fast forward, we get to March of 2020.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that in March of 2020, all of our lives changed dramatically. It was called the pandemic. COVID hit.
Yes.
And COVID was our friend in that I could be at home. I could be with him 24/7. I could let him do everything that he could do.
Yeah.
It took him 2 hours to get dressed in the morning, shower. But I would peek around the corner. I didn't leave him alone, but he thought he was alone. But allowed him the dignity of doing everything that he could do. Because when he was diagnosed, he said 3 things to me. The first was, I've always wanted to meet your father, and now I'll have my chance. My father died in 1981.
Okay.
So that was his way of letting me know he was dying, and he knew it.
Yeah.
The second thing he said, which I live by every morning of my life, which is, we have had a great run. We cannot be sad.
Oh.
And the third thing was a request, which was, I know it's going to get rough. Please help me to keep my dignity.
Them just interjecting my dad with Alzheimer's, it just, what you said, my dad didn't have that insight to say those amazing things to my mom. Like, I wish he did for a bunch of reasons. But back to you, I want to ask you a question about driving. That was such a hard part when my mom told my dad, you can't drive. And, he's still the greatest person, but he was angry every morning. My mom tried to hide the keys. How is it with you, with Nicky when it came to the drive? I just want to know if you had a similar situation.
I'm smiling because
Yeah.
Nicky stopped driving when he was 21 years old.
Oh, okay.
He was up in Harlem, and he was driving through a street, and the sun was blinding, and a child ran out in front of the car. He put on the brakes as fast as he could. The child was not hurt. He got out of the driver's seat, said to the person next to him, "You take the wheel," and he never drove again for the rest of his life.
Oh my God! No wonder you're smiling. Oh, well, I'm glad you didn't have to do that part of it.
No, but that's a big one.
Yeah, I want to be a nosy guy. I want to know about the hallucinations. I know they're a lot visual, and I've been watching a lot of videos and talking to some other neurologists. And were they just in your normal day life? Suddenly he'll just see someone who's in the kitchen who's not there. Did he see, how did
it manifested? Yeah, it manifested itself mainly at night. Okay. And it manifested itself in the form of coming out of a dream and saying the squirrels are running around the bedroom. And they're running all over the bed, and they're running under you. And we have to get this is a direct quote, we have to buy a $17,000 bed. It's like, okay, what does it do? Cook the dinner? I mean, anyway, but it was just, wild things like that. And then he would get up and check all of the rooms to make sure there were no squirrels in the other rooms, things like that. It was just, but the real thing for him were audio hallucinations, not the visuals.
Sure.
But Nicky was a rocker in the 1950s. He was a rock and roll teenage idol. On the same stages with Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Patsy Cline. So he was a for real. Yeah.
Cool.
And so it wasn't surprising that his hallucinations were auditory. And he would say to me, "Do you hear the voices coming out of the faucet?" I say, "No, but I know that you do," affirming that I understood what he was going through, even though I was not experiencing it. Or he'd say, "Do you hear the music coming out of the pillow?" "No, but I know that you do."
Yeah. So, I'm glad you gave those stories about him being the rock and roll star, because at least in my question, so he definitely was used to being the spotlight, And by the way, Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire. I dig it.
You got it.
I dig it, And so did he want you to share this kind of super personal story about Lewy Body Dementia in your book?
That's so interesting that you asked that, because about 3 months before Nicky died, now for us, it was 16 months from diagnosis to death, which is very unusual because it never goes that fast.
Yeah.
But it did. And about 3 months before he died, he said to me one day in a very lucid moment, "Mary Lou, you have to write." And I didn't know what that meant. He died in July of 2020. And after the day that he died, I knew what I had to write. After I wrote it, I then went to a bench that we have in his memory in Central Park. I put my hand on the plaque and I said, "Nicky, I've been really honest in this book. I've said it all. Can you please send me a sign if it's all right?" And I'm here to tell you, Dr. Raj, that my shoulders went down. I felt this sense of calm wash completely over me. And I knew it was all right.
I love that. So let me ask you about Nicky, and Lewy body dementia, like many diseases, everyone's different. Everyone will have a predominant symptom. But was there something about your husband, about Nicky, that didn't get changed or damaged as disease progressed? Was there something that stayed throughout? Anything?
Yes. His kindness and his love for me. When he would get angry and he would bark, he would come in and say, I'm sorry. The last thing he ever drew, Nicky was an artist. At 21, as I said, he left rock and roll, but he became a very celebrated, internationally known artist. His work hangs in the Victoria and Albert Museum, for instance.
Cool.
And the legend there says that Nicky, was the inspiration for the artist Roy Lichtenstein. So it gives you the quality of what we're talking about here. And basically, I just lost track of the question, which was
what stayed with them? What kept? What was the one quality of Nicky that didn't change throughout the whole thing?
So his, as I said, his love for me and his kindness.
Yeah.
And so when he would get angry, he would apologize. But the last thing he ever drew, which is what I was going to.
Okay.
Sorry,
No problem.
The last thing he ever drew was a cartoon of the two of us in masks and holding hands. Obviously, it's during the pandemic. And the balloon above his head says, I am so sorry for getting angry. Please forgive me. I know you were only trying to help me.
It's beautiful. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Plus, about 2 months before he died, Nicky was also a writer. He used to write for Esquire magazine. And he wrote a poem that I found 3 months after he died, which described his descent into Lewy Body Dementia, what it felt like to be trapped in this mind and body of a Lewy body person.
Wow.
Yeah. It is so powerful. I do put it in my book because it is the cleanest and clearest description that I have ever heard or felt, as people who have read it have said as well.
I'm like, is it sad or does it bring hope? I mean, I don't want to be in that descent. I can't even imagine knowing you're in that descent.
Well, it starts optimistically about our love for each other and how it grew over the years and how beautiful it was.
Yeah.
But the last line is that while I pass in the night, I pass a mirror, I look in that mirror, and the horror that I see is me.
Oh my God. I want to make sure I mention, because taking care of someone suffering from disease, that's not your first rodeo with your husband. I mentioned already about your dad, and it didn't sit well that he was 37. That sucks. 37, that massive stroke. So my question to you is, being that caregiver lifelong, I mean, how did your experiences with your dad kind of helped you a little bit with Nicky?
Yes, because as a child, as a 10-year-old, I was charged with helping my mom, as you said, care for my dad, and also care for my two younger siblings. And when the insurance money ran out for the rehab center, the people in rehab said, you have a very bright 11-year-old, that would be me, and she can work with you, and we'll teach her what to do. They trained me.
Oh my God.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That is crazy town.
Right. And I was this child zealot, as I am a zealot as an adult. And so I was determined that I was going to help my dad to speak. And he wanted so much to please me. But because the stroke had been misdiagnosed, they didn't believe a 37-year-old, would have this kind of massive stroke.
Yeah.
And because the damage had been done to the brain, both sides, as your listeners probably know, that when one side is damaged, the other side can be rehabilitated, used, trained.
Yep.
But in his case, both were knocked out, and no one knew that. And so it was impossible. He would never speak. It just would never happen. And he didn't know it. The doctors didn't know it. The rehab people didn't know it. And I certainly didn't know it. And so something I am not proud of is that very often I would reduce my dad to tears because I was trying so hard to make this work.
Yeah.
And he was trying so hard to make it work for himself and for me.
Yeah.
What I learned over the years was, and when I finally got to Nicky's illness, now I'm in my 70s rather than being 11 years old, what I learned was that kindness and gentleness and putting yourself as the caregiver for a couple of seconds a day in the other person's frame is very important, because you can only imagine what it feels like
to be
trapped in that way. and your empathy rises 1,000,000%.
Yeah, I agree.
You, even if you're not a patient person,
Yeah.
which I'm not particularly, at least I don't think I am, I learned to be the pillar of patience because he couldn't help what was going on. He didn't need an outside force coming at him. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
So a person with dementia in particular needs to know that they're loved, that they're cared for, they're protected. Those three things. That's all they need to know. And even when you think they don't realize what's going on, every single dementia person that I've ever encountered has responded to a gentle tone, a gentle touch, and I love you. That's what's needed. They get it.
Yeah. You know, my mom is going to love this because she is the best caregiver in the whole world. And one of our favorite things to do with my dad, who passed away from Alzheimer's, is to touch his head, put your hand right here, and it just felt good. But before I start tearing up, because I love talking to you, I want to make sure I ask a couple more questions about this film I mentioned. You know what I mean? Because I want to hear your take on it. I love the preview. So in addition to your book, you are the co-executive producer of, this documentary that's awesome called Facing the Wind. Tell me about it.
Facing the Wind is the project of the fiscal sponsor, which is the Lewy Body Dementia Resource Center. And when Nicky died, I told the Resource Center, which was my lifeline, and everybody needs advocates and everybody needs some help. Nobody does this alone.
Mm-hmm.
So caregiving units, caregiving groups are really important. So when Nicky died, I said I would like to give back because they had given so much to me. And they asked me to join the board of directors, which I did. One of the things they wanted to do was vignettes of what this disease looks like, et cetera. But it was going in the mom and pop direction, which there's nothing wrong with that, except that's not my style. So I said, if we're going to do this, let's find really great filmmakers. Let's raise a boatload of money to make this happen. And let's do the most professional and beautiful film we can make, giving the truth. And so we voted on it. We decided, yes, we would do this. And so I'm here to tell you that we raised $700,000 to make this film. It's an expensive film, but it is a beautiful film. And we found great filmmakers in the director, Deirdre Fishel, and in the producer, Tony Hariza, who have done all cause-oriented films. That's their specialty.
Okay.
I found them through an actress friend of mine, and they have turned out to be absolutely gold.
Yeah.
Pure gold.
And I'm telling you, it's not a joke. I round every day around 9:30 with my resident team. We have a big list today. We have to discharge people. And I'm like, let me just watch this preview before I go. In 3 minutes, I was so captivated by the 3 different stories. I started tearing up during the second minute. I'm like, I don't know if I'm even emotionally ready to round after watching a preview. That's how powerful this was. And I was mentioning to you that it was great quality and the way they cut everything. So let's talk about these 3 couples.
Yes.
I know I don't want to be spoiler alert to all of them, but they're all different. What a surprise. They all had different personalities. How were their journeys similar or different from you and your husband, Nicky?
First of all, their journeys, the 3 couples, were much longer than my journey with Nicky. Probably this had been going on for years and years and years, but diagnosis to death is how they chart it. And so, as I said, ours was 16 months. These folks were going through years and years of it. And they each had very different journeys. One couple from New Jersey had a very, it looked very normal, if you will. They were in an RV. The husband who had Jim, his name is Jim, who had Lewy Body, wanted to visit as many national parks as he could before he died. And so they bought an RV, a friend drove it, they started off. And the journey was to take them to also meet people that with Lewy body whom they knew from podcasts and Zoom meetings. They made it as far as Texas, where there was another couple. This fellow, Curry, and his wife were into the Lewy body land for probably 10 years or more. I mean, this has been going on a long time. Curry was a truck driver. He was so lucid, he still runs a podcast, still to this day.
Oh, okay.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
But so lucid. But he would tell stories like when he was on the road and he would see little people coming into his cab of his truck. He would see people stealing things, etc. He would go to the ER, the local ER, and they would say, "You're drunk." Right? So they didn't know what they were looking at.
No.
So that was Curry.
Yeah.
The third couple is from Sacramento. An African-American couple.
Yes.
He, Patrick, was an OR nurse.
Yep.
Hospital nurse. And very, very, very successful in his career. Patrick was really very far gone. I mean, you could see in the film Patrick having hallucinations.
Yes.
Patrick, had the incontinence. Patrick had a lot of issues going on. Now, this is not a spoiler alert because anybody who knows anything about Lewy body knows that it all right now ends in death. That's what the disease does. And Jim and Patrick both died during the filming of this. So that does, so it shows you real people in real time, in real action, and then it shows the aftermath of what happens after somebody leaves us and how the hope and the resilience just kicks in for these two women who are left behind, the two widows, to do good in the world of exposing what Lewy body is.
Oh my God. No, I'm so glad we got to talk about that. And in the meantime, I got another question I want to ask you before we had the last question. Did you get a chance to meet Robin Williams by any chance? Because, he had Lewy body dementia. There's a film called Patch Adams. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not.
I am. Yeah.
That was my time when I was a med student, and it really motivated me to be a better person. I didn't realize there are actually doctors that do things for only good reasons. And I really feel sad for him now I understand more about Lewy body, what he may have went through. So did you meet him by any chance?
I can't say that I met him. I encountered him once at Juilliard. I used to teach at Juilliard, and he's a Juilliard grad, and he was at an event, and the ships passed in the night. But what a remarkable human being Robin Williams was.
Yeah.
And as you know, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
Ah, okay.
So that was the diagnosis.
Ah.
Nobody ever told him he had Lewy body. And when he took his own life, I think that he was in despair. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my supposition is that he was in despair. What is happening to my brain? I know what's happening to my body, but what is happening to my brain? In autopsy, now God bless his widow, because she insisted on an autopsy. And I'm sure that one of the reasons was she wanted to get to the bottom of what this was all about and get the word out as to what really was going on. And bless her heart, she did it. And in autopsy, they found that he had one of the worst cases of Lewy body that they'd ever seen. The brain was riddled with alpha-synucleins, which is the protein. Yeah, you didn't know that. I
didn't know it was an autopsy. I thought he knew for a little bit before.
He did not know what he had.
God. Yeah.
And it's all speculation. If he had known, we can't go there. That's not our purview.
Wow.
But he has done so much good posthumously with people knowing that this is what was going on.
Yeah.
This is what was happening to this man.
Yeah. No, and not to deter from our conversation, just coincidence. My wife and I just watched the Christopher Reeve story. I didn't even know that he was best friends with my Superman. So I'm like, oh man, I was preparing for our podcast together and I'm putting it all together. It just made me sad. You know what I mean?
He was so supportive of Christopher Reeve. As a matter of fact, Christopher Reeve went to the same rehab center that my father did.
No.
Yeah.
It's a small,
different generations.
World. Yeah,
obviously.
Of course.
But it was the same place. Yeah.
No.
Same place.
You know what, Mary Lou, I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite podcasts I've done. I almost started crying during our podcast. You have this wonderful thing about you that I kind of want to jump over there and give you a hug. You have a motherly feel to you. You're cool and down to earth. I dig you quite a bit. You know that?
Thank you. That means a lot. Look, all I'm out here to do is spread the word and make awareness a priority for Lewy body dementia, and also to let people know they're not alone. If you're experiencing any of this, you are not alone. There is help out there for you.
I love it. I'm going to say thank you so much today. This was great. I know my medical students as well as my listeners are going to love this. And I mean it, Mary Lou, I hope our paths cross again in the future and we team up for something, okay?
I would look forward to that. Thanks, Dr. Raj.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and stay tuned. In a couple of weeks, I'll be back on the air again.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. Raj Podcast. If you enjoy the show, then please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating while you're there. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. This has been a production of MedPrep2Go, and you can learn more at medprep2go.com.